Welcome to the Total Soccer Show and the second part of our Club World Cup Two Truths and a Lie preview spectacular. On this episode, we're running through the 16 teams that make up groups E through H. If you haven't heard part one, go check that out on the feed. But for now, listener, let's get to it. My name is Ryan Bailey. Joining me, Mr. Taylor Rockwell. Hello, Taylor.
Hello, Mr. Ryan Bailey. Lovely to see you as always.
Likewise, Joe Lowry's also here. Hello, Joe.
I'm still livid from yesterday's show where I didn't trip you guys up a single time. I will make you fail on today's show.
But Joe, it's the journey, not the destination. We all learn so much along the
destination,
way.
not journey. That's a myth.
Lie.
Nice, good job. Good to see you.
Graham
guys.
Ruthven. Hello, Graham.
Hello. I quite like the journey because as a Scottish football fan, inevitably the destination isn't all that appealing. So the journey's what I live for.
Nope. Destination, not journey. Myth is my favorite sentence that Joe has said in quite some time. That's so good.
Yeah. It's the names of his favourite 80s bands, I think, basically. He's just run through there.
I thought they were all
Journey,
early 2000s Chelsea players.
Right, right. Wives.
Gianluca
Clever.
Journey famously playing.
Other positive adjectives to describe someone's character. And they're discerning. Nailed it.
There we go. All right, let's get to our part two of our Club World Cup previews. A little bit more information for you. FIFA are holding a consultation about expanding the Club World Cup to 48 teams for 2029. The news this week. If this summer's edition is successful, I don't know by what metrics they'll deem it successful, but we shall see. There is lobbying from the clubs who are not in this tournament with its $1 billion prize. Also, some news that came out earlier this week that the Hard Rock Stadium for the opening game between Inter Miami and Al Ahly, students are being offered tickets for $20 with the promise of 4 complimentary tickets. So basically, $4 a ticket. So we're going to put butts on seats. We shall see. We shall see. Interesting times ahead.
Yeah, and even to build on that, I know for a fact that employees at MLS and other places are being offered just like gobs of free tickets for this tournament. Like they're not only trying to discount them to the public, they are trying to send them to people and to get them to go and to bring their friends as well. Yeah, it's going good. They nailed the pricing strategy for all this, and I think everything was really well thought out and is going to be a huge success in terms of the visuals in the stadiums.
Sweet.
What did they start at?
300 and something for the opening game. Now they're down to $4.
And the opening game, to be clear, is Miami against Al Ahly, which fun, cool, soccer nerds unite, have a great time. I mean, guys, come on.
And if you do turn up, there's a chance that ICE are going to lift you. So,
Yes.
yeah, what a situation.
The phrase was ISIS providing security, Graham. That's how it's being.
Did you see they went on the boat yesterday?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. With I think Infantino was there, the South American president was there.
T-Pain was there.
Good stuff. Well, he's always there. If there's a boat, he must be on it. That's the
Exactly.
rule. T-Pain.
Very good. All right. Good stuff, Graham. Joe, let's start off with Group E, if you will. To remind you of the rules, we're going to do 2 truths and a lie.
I don't know
You're
what
gonna
that
give us
was.
I know I loved it.
for each team.
Am I getting
in group-
T-Pain? Am I getting T-Pain mixed up with Lil Jon?
Yes.
Right, okay.
One of them is persistently
I'm
on a
just,
boat.
I'm just going to imagine, to avoid my embarrassment, that you actually said Lil Jon
you go.
that was on the boat.
You do you, Graham.
So,
Excellent.
Thanks.
Joe, Group E, you, as a reminder, you're going to tell us 3 facts. One of them will be a lie about each team. Where you go.
All right, we're going to start with River Plate, who are in this Group E with Inter, Monterrey, and the Urawa Red Diamonds. River Plate got to this tournament via the CONMEBOL rankings after reaching the knockout stages of the Copa Libertadores in 2024. They and Boca Juniors were the 2 ranking-based entrants from South America because the 4 Brazilian teams, a couple of which we talked about on yesterday's show, all got here from winning the Copa Libertadores. So River Plate get here on rankings. In terms of their recent form, they just lost on penalties in the quarterfinals of the tournament that follows the Apertura in Argentina, which the Argentine League is bonkers, by the way. Absolutely bonkers. I don't know if we've done a Soccer 101 about this before. If not, please do it. Don't have time to talk about it on today's show. It rules. They finished second in Group B in the Argentina Primera Division and 4th overall. Again, everything's awesome in Argentina. Let's get to the good stuff. 2 truths, 1 lie. Here we go. There is a River Plate player headed to Real Madrid after the Club World Cup. That is the first option. Option number 2, River Plate's manager has a statue outside of the Estadio Monumental in Buenos Aires. And number 3, River Plate were the youngest team in Argentina's top flight this past season. River Plate player going to Real Madrid. River Plate manager having a statue outside of the Estadio Monumental in Buenos Aires. And River Plate were the youngest team in Argentina's very clear-cut, easy-to-track top flight this past season.
I'm laughing because number 2, does anyone know the statue that
No. Please say more.
it's of Marcelo Gallardo, and all I'm going to say is there is a bulge where there is quite generous.
The way it was
On his
described
biceps,
to
right?
me, yeah, on his biceps. That one is true. Graham's 100% right. I'm just going to say it right now because it's funny. Gallardo does have a statue of him. He's 49. And is like a River Plate legend, certainly player for them, manager, very successful. He's been there for a long time with a quick stint over in Saudi, I think it was. The way that I read it in The Athletic was that he's holding a trophy in the statue, which is true, and he's hiding an extra trophy. I think is the way that
Cole Palmer trophy.
Yeah, very
Belongs
much
in Group
so.
D, really.
It's awesome. It's a better than Ronaldo statue, just in a sort of different way. Anyway, that one is true. You still have to decide which one's possible.
So, Joe, now I also understand why you were telling me in the last show why to move on from Franco Mastantuono, I think is how you pronounce
Yeah,
that.
that's good.
So I'm thinking number 3 is correct, or is the lie? Excuse me.
I think number 3 is true because unless they're the oldest team, I don't know why Joe would lie about that. Whereas I don't know, like there's been Trent, and there've been 2 other signings from Madrid, right? This transfer window so far,
Hoyson and Carreras.
yeah. So unless it was something that was agreed upon a long time ago, I'm going to say number 1 is the lie.
Can you remind me of the phrasing of number 1, please, Joe?
The phrasing was there was a River Plate player headed to Real Madrid after the Club World Cup. Not just like in a decade, probably that there will be one, but that there is one headed there soon.
Yeah,
Okay.
That is true. That's happening. That's Mastantuono. He's going to Real Madrid. So
Sounds like we've made
Ryan,
it
do
number
you
3.
trust Graham?
There has to be 3.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Graham is correct, which means all of you are correct. Number 3 was the lie. Taylor, you are on it. They are the oldest team in Argentina, 30.9 years based off of average age. This is an old group because we're going to talk about Inter later on. 38-year-old Argentina goalkeeper Franco Armani started every game for them this past season. 39-year-old Argentine midfielder Enzo Perez has played in all but 1 game so far this season, and 12 other players who played at least 2 games in the regular season are over 30 years old for River Plate. They're an old team. Franco Mastantuono is the exception to the rule, and Graham is absolutely right. He is headed to Real Madrid. 17-year-old Argentine, left-footed winger, 3 goals, 3 assists, and 9 starts this season. Reportedly €45 million fee to get him to Real Madrid after the Club World Cup. This is absolutely happening. He became the youngest ever player to appear for Argentina when he debuted in the World Cup qualifying win over Chile this month. This dude is the hottest prospect in South America. He is unbelievable on the dribble, nice pass players 1v1, great vision. Left foot it's unbelievable. Like, he is the star of this team, despite the fact that he is 17 years old. Miguel Borja also plays for this team, 5 goals in 920 minutes in the league so far. He is the top scorer for this group and is their 9. But Mastantuono is the guy to watch. Gallardo has his team playing really fun soccer. He's in his second spell in charge of the club that I mentioned already. He returned in August of last year. 64% possession in the regular season. That is Gallardo's model, along with pressing high. They led the league in tackles in the attacking third. This team is awesome. Like, this team is very, very fun. I don't quite know how good they are, especially at the back end, but they control games really well in Argentina. Obviously, that's not going to translate perfectly to this competition, but Mastantuono is a player to watch, and though he's not going to be an impact player right off the bat for Real Madrid, he has got a really, really bright future ahead of him. So well done to you all in River Plate.
That fact, Joe, about them being the oldest in Argentina is actually quite surprising because they, as I kind of referenced in my Boca Juniors preview, they still have a record of sending a young player to Europe like every season. So there's a bit of a contradiction there of basically they have 1 or 2 youngsters and then the rest of their team is basically geriatric.
Which I do think is a legitimately effective way at times to produce young players, is to surround them with olds and to make them fight their way into that team. And we know that's exactly what happens in Argentina at times. So well done. You all are 1 for 1. Let's move on to the Urawa Red Diamonds, who are from Japan. They won the AFC Champions League in 2022 to qualify for this tournament. Let's move straight into our 2 truths and 1 lie. The Urawa Red Diamonds average the most fans per game in the J-League. Most fans per game in the J-League. Number 2, despite the name Red Diamonds, the primary color on their home shirt is not red, it is blue. Number 3, there are only 4 different nationalities represented in the Japan squad. Most fans in the J-League, not actually red on the jerseys, or not the primary color of red on the jerseys, and only 4 different nationalities represented in this squad.
2 feels true. Feels like something Graham would know also.
I can see Graham's
play in
wheels
red,
turning.
don't they? Like they had for a long time. They played in Manchester United shirts for a long time, which I know sounds weird, but they did. They had the same. They were red and they had the same template as Manchester United, and so I think
So maybe that's the line.
not true.
There's also the restrictions on
changed.
foreign players, right? So I can see how,
Yeah.
or like, if it's you said 4 nationalities, right, Joe?
There are only 4 different nationalities represented in the Urawa squad.
That feels like it could be true.
I think that's true.
They all could be true, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I think it's the shirt one. I think they were
Okay.
red.
All right.
But remind us of what? Oh, the attendances, Joe.
Yeah, attendance. They average the most fans.
Yeah,
in the
that feels
J
like they are one of the more. Well, I saw their send off before this game, and they had like 15,000 fans at their game just for them leaving the country. So it feels like they could have the biggest attendance. So I'm going to say 2 is the lie.
Well done. You all are 2 for 2 on today's show. Yeah, they were red. Graham's right. I just thought that'd be funny
Joe,
to say they didn't. Yes, Taylor,
Do they
go
have
ahead.
a bunch of Brazilians in the team?
They have some Brazilians. And I know that you and
Yeah.
Graham talked about
Yeah.
the connection between Brazil and Japan on a Soccer 101 episode that people should go back and listen to about the J League. It is very, very good. It did come on the back of some U.S. failure, and I think Taylor wanted to renounce his USMNT fandom in favor of Japan
Slightly.
on that show.
100-year
I
plan,
remember-
man. 100-year
Yeah.
plan that they're actually following. I don't know what to make of that.
I
other than
think
to be
a
terrible.
lot of that episode was you guys talking about the 100-year plan and talking about how the U.S. would never do that, or like they should do it, but they never would. And then eventually we got to the fact that they would just be torn to shreds if they actually announced something like that, which is 100% true. Yeah, you guys are right on. The Urawa Red Diamonds do average the most fans, 37,000 on average for their home games. And there are only 4 different nationalities in this squad. Japan, Brazil, Norway. Center back Marius Holbrassen is a starter for them. And Sweden, Sam Gustafsson is their starting central midfielder. Their top scorer this year is a Japanese international, Ryoma Watanabe, 20-year-old attacking midfielder, 6 goals so far this year. In general, this is a very experienced team. Again, that's the theme of Group E in a lot of ways. They average 29.1 years based off of average age weighted by minutes played. No player under the age of 25, has played more than 18 minutes for them in the J League. They basically don't play players younger than 25. They are 3rd in the J League, which is about 2/3 of the way through the season. They're still on that like winter to winter sort of calendar that MLS does. They mirror that quite similarly. They are going to change the European style calendar soon, but they have not done so yet. So they're 3rd in the J League. Their manager is Maciej Skorza, 53-year-old Polish coach who won the Champions League with them. He led them to that title and then left to go spend time with family in Poland and then came back in 2024. You just can't ditch the Urawa Red Diamonds. Are going to have a tough time in this group, though, the Japanese club. Let's move on to Monterrey, who get here from winning the CONCACAF Champions League in 2021. So they're the first team, really, of this bunch to qualify, even though the official tournament format came out later than that. Nice. In terms of recent form, they lost in the quarterfinals of the Clausura to Toluca after finishing 7th in the league. Not a great season overall for Monterrey. They lost to Vancouver in that Champions League run as well, Champions Cup run as well. Let's move into the 2 truths and 1 lie. Monterrey is coached by a former Pep Guardiola assistant. Number 2, Sergio Ramos, who signs for the club earlier this year, wears number 92 for Monterrey in honor of his 92nd minute equalizer in the 2014 Champions League final. And number 3, no Liga MX team has signed more players from La Liga than Monterrey. So number 1, Monterrey is coached by a former Pep assistant. Number 2, Ramos signed earlier this year, wears 92 for Monterrey in honor of his equalizer in the 2014 Champions League final. That equalizer coming in the 92nd minute. You can see the parallel there. And no Liga MX team has signed more players from La Liga than Monterrey. I love these. I think these are maybe my best ones.
Is it a trick on the shirt number?
This is so. If only with number 1, if only 2 of us on this episode had done a 101 yesterday on assistant managers and may have mentioned a certain Pep
Curse
Guardiola assistant.
Say his name.
Yeah. Dominic Tarrant is Monterrey
I think,
manager.
Joe, unfortunately for you, I literally before we started recording, I was like,
Yeah.
where is Dominic Tarrant right now?
We didn't know. So that is very unfortunate for Joe. So that one is true. I've no idea about number 3. Number 2 is true to an extent, but is it 92?
That's what I'm
was that goal later than the 92nd minute?
I think it's a different number.
Here's the thing. If Joe did all of that legwork to explain it, he deserves the point. So I'm going to say the lie is the most La Liga players. Just because
with
that's
whatever.
such a good explanation for why he would wear 92 that if Joe made that up, Just credit to him. He's an evil
so
genius.
that is 100%. The explanation is true. It's just whether it's 95 or 93 or 94 or whatever. Because was it later than the 92nd minute, that goal?
I don't think it feels later.
Go on, John.
Final answer. Chop.
Oh, I don't know. Taylor, you call it. What are we going with?
Go with the... don't know.
You're about to
I'm
run
saying
out
most
of
of the
time.
legal players is the lie.
Okay.
That is correct. I feel like I got a pity point there. That was correct in that it's true. You all are wrong. But really, you all are correct because you all knew the correct answer.
With his whiplash.
It was 93 for Sergio Ramos. It was 93.
That's all right.
Yeah, you all were. I'm giving you guys the point. I don't want your pity points, Taylor. Dome Torrent is the coach of this team, so let's start there. He's also never coached this team before, and that he's literally never coached them in a soccer game before. He was hired in May last month after their playoff failure resulted in a firing, so he comes in after stops in Liga MX briefly at Atletico San Luis, was with Pep at Barca, Bayern City, then moved to NYCFC where he took over for a manager, and then coached Flamengo and Galatasaray. So some big clubs there for Dome Torrent, who I think is a very good coach. He wants to use the ball. He laid the foundation for NYCFC's MLS Cup win under Ronny Deila. They have a bunch of La Liga players when you look at this team, and that's a theme for Liga MX and the top clubs there. But their top scorer is Sergio Canales, which La Liga fans may remember from his time at Real Betis, where he was quite successful. He's got 14 goals and 8 assists this year, the 33-year-old Spaniard. He leads Monterrey in both categories. He's very good. Joran Bertarame, 25 years old, in this team as well. Excellent scorer for them. Tecatito, Sergio Ramos. And when you look at the La Liga players in this squad, Canales, Tecatito mentioned already. Ramos technically not signed from La Liga, but he is sort of in this group. Lucas Ocampos from Sevilla, if folks remember him from his time at Sevilla, and Oliver Torres, also from Sevilla. They've signed 8 of the 65 permanent transfers from La Liga to Liga MX Monterrey. They're tied with Pumas and Cruz Azul, so a real pipeline there. And yeah, Ramos, 93rd minute, tough break for me. Well done to you all on that. Monterrey are a good team. They are not one of the strongest teams in Liga MX right now. They're hoping that Torrent really cracks some sort of code and quickly because they're up against it in this group. I'm proud of you guys. That was really well done. Should we move to Inter and close this thing out? Yes,
Yep,
cool.
let's
I'm going
do
to
it.
take that as a yes. They qualified here via the UEFA rankings. They're one of the teams that didn't win the Champions League, so they still made it into that top 12 based off of the rankings. They're looking to wash some bitterness out of their mouth after getting absolutely blitzed by PSG in the Champions League final and losing out on the Serie A title. Let's talk through 2 truths, 1 lie. Inter took advantage of the mini Club World Cup transfer window and signed 2 players before this tournament. Number 2, Jan Sommer has played in the Club World Cup and finished 4th in a previous edition of the tournament. And number 3, Inter Milan's starting central midfield trio this past season combined for an age of 92. Inter took advantage of the Club World Cup window, signing 2 players. Jan Sommer has played in the Club World Cup before and finished 4th in a previous edition. And Inter's starting central midfield trio this past season combined for an age of 92.
I think, is he playing a 92 trick again?
I don't know. See, that's what I don't like now. Now I don't
Class
know
of
anymore.
92. Yeah. 3 feels like it obviously could be correct because that midfield is very old. They have signed Luis Henrique from Marseille before this tournament. I can't think who the second one would be, but that feels like it. Joe, what was number 2 again? I keep doing this.
Number
Sorry.
2 was Jan Sommer, starting goalkeeper for Inter, has played in the Club World Cup and finished 4th in a previous edition of the tournament.
So he's played for Bayern, Gladbach before that. Oh man, this is a tough one. I think this is your toughest one so far, Joe.
Nice. Save the best for last, am I right?
Hey-oh.
I think 3 is true.
Which team would have finished 4th that Jan Sommer would have played on? That's what I'm
Bayern.
struggling with. Because you would have, but they wouldn't have finished. They would have lost the 3rd place game.
Maybe.
And yeah, in the semi-final, yeah.
I can't imagine that would have happened. Okay.
I'm going to say that's the lie.
Oh, I think
And
that's the lie.
He's won it before with Bayern. Is what actually
I like
happened.
that. I think that's the lie.
Final answer?
No, Joe. What was the age? You said 92.
92. A little back of the napkin math, maybe, from Taylor.
I think that could be a higher number. If they're all...
No, I think that's about right because Barella is younger. He's the younger of the 3. So you've got Mkhitaryan, you've got Çalhanoğlu and Barella. I think that probably adds up to 92.
Okay, all right. I think it's the...
I'm gonna break. I think that's a lie. I think they're older than 92. Because I think they're like I think when I did the math on that show, I think it was like 96. Is what they're closer to. And I'm trying to do it now, and I feel like I get to like 95.
Feels like more of a Joe thing to do.
It does.
I'm going to say it's the fourth place one.
Oh man, that make me the breaker.
Yep.
I'm gonna get in Joe's head here, and I think the point he's going to make here is their midfield is really old by saying it's actually older than 92. So I'll go with that being the lie.
Wrong! I finally got one over on you guys. They are absolutely 92. Taylor, you did say something about that on the Champions League show, and the Discord corrected you. They are 92 years old. Mkhitaryan is 35, Çalhanoğlu is 30, and Barella is 27, at least as of 2 days ago when I did some of this prep. Jan Sommer has never played at a Club World Cup. Most of his career was a flyback. He had that 1 year with Bayern.
I'm fact-checking this right now.
That's fine. Go for it.
Mkhitaryan is 36. Lies.
Is he actually?
He's 36.
When's his birthday?
January. 1989.
Every year.
No way. Okay. Well,
January 1989. He's not 36, right?
But does it still add up to?
No way, he is.
Something.
Yeah.
2 lies and the
36.
truth.
2 lies and the truth. Changing the game.
Çalhanoğlu is 31.
All right.
36
Innovator.
and 31 is 67. And then Barella is 28.
So here's what I've done, lads. I did a fail first of all. Well done. I used the FB ref ages, which were from the start of the season and not from present day. That's my bad. Didn't realize those weren't updated. I'm still going to take half a point because you all thought that Jan Sommer has played in the Club World Cup, which I do not believe he has. He did not. Certainly didn't win it. Didn't get the 4th place with Bayern. Taylor, your reasoning there was quite good. He's just never been at a Club World Cup. I just thought it would be funny. Inter did sign 2 players in this window. I'm just moving swiftly on from my oopsie there. They signed Luis Enrique, not that one, as Graham already said, 23-year-old from Marseille, right-footed Brazilian wide player. The expectation is that he becomes a wingback in this team. Joined from 25 million euros, 7 goals, 7 assists this past season with Marseille. And then they also signed Petar Sucic from Dinamo Zagreb. Reported 14 million euros plus add-ons for the Croatian international. Sucic is not expected to gobble up a ton of minutes from those old players that I definitely knew were older combined than 92. But he, I think, will eat up, maybe 1,500 minutes in the league, 2,000 minutes across all competitions. Inter are wisely trying to refresh their midfield under new manager, Christian Kibu, former Inter defender appointed on Monday. He is now following in Simone Inzaghi's footsteps after Inzaghi leaves for Saudi Arabia to get that bag. 44-year-old Romanian manager, retired as an Inter player, coached in the youth ranks at Inter for more than 5 years, then went to coach at Parma this past year, helped him survive relegation, if only barely, and is now taking over Inter Milan. They wanted Cesc Fabregas, couldn't get him. Yeah. It's Kivu time. Well done.
They also wanted Patrick Vieira, apparently, so he was their third choice. So congratulations.
Everything's going great. I didn't mess that up at all, and I think it's time for a break.
There we go. It is time for a break indeed. Maybe we'll ruminate on why Joe hates the number 92 so much when we come back. But if not, we will go to Group F with Taylor when you join us again. Join us then. Total Soccer Show. Welcome back to our Club World Cup preview. 2 Truths and a Lie edition. We go now to Mr. Taylor Rockwell, who's going to tell us about Group F. And he's going to be a little bit naughty because he's got a lie about each team. Let's go.
I do. I'm excited. We've got...
Are you okay, Ryan?
He's into it.
No?
He's gaming. Fluminense, Borussia Dortmund, Ulsan HD, and Mamelodi Sundowns. That would be your Group F. Correct? Make sure I got all the right teams? All right. Fluminense.
4K, I think they're called now.
Yeah, I was going to ask about Ulsan SD, standard definition. But
I wish those didn't make me laugh, but they did. All right. We're just going to jump straight to Fluminense, and here are your 3 facts. The first, they qualified as winners of the 2023 Copa Libertadores. They defeated Boca Juniors 2-1 in the final, marking the first time they won the competition in the club's 122-year history. They have a big question around who will be scoring their goals in this tournament due to a combination of injuries and new signings. And number 3, I will fill in some details if you like. Number 3, Thiago Silva will be one of the starting center backs, likely alongside Argentine defender Juan Freitas. Silva is the club captain and, at 40 years and, at time of writing, 263 days of age, is the oldest regular player in 92. The team. Okay. So there you go. Qualified by winning the 2023 Copa Lib, defeating Boca Juniors, making it the first time they won it in the club's history. Big question mark around who will be scoring their goals in this tournament due to a combination of injuries and signings. And Thiago Silva will be their oldest regular player in the team.
I think 3 has to be true because Thiago Silva is very much in the team. I can't think there's anyone older than 40. One would hope there's
Why
not.
did Taylor say regular player? What does that mean? Is that like do they
Starting
have like a special
player, right?
player, like a
Mm-hmm.
like a team dog or something?
He,
Yes, he's 140 years old. Yes.
Right. In
On-
dog
on
years,
Wednesday,
it's possible.
On Wednesday, Fluminense played Charleston Battery in a closed-doors friendly, and the competition was partially fought on the field and partially the amount of Charleston Battery players who could have their photo taken with Thiago Silva appeared to be part of the
Okay, so
contest too.
maybe do we think it's the goal scoring one that's fake, and they actually have like an amazing goal scorer?
Unless it's a
Because I think the Copa Lib one is true. I know they didn't win it in 2022 because that was Flamengo, but they did win the Copa Lib in the last few years. So
That's the Fernando Diniz year, right?
Yeah.
That's that he was so.
And the most important part of that one is that's the John Kennedy year. John Kennedy subs on the 80th, gets booked in the 89th, scores the winner in extra time in the 99th, receives his second booking in the 101st for taking off a shirt to celebrate, is sent off, but they win anyway.
legends.
That's a real hat trick.
So we go in goal scorer then, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Thiago Silva is 40 years and 263 days of age. Their starting goalkeeper is Fabio, who is 44 years old in 255 days. Yes, he's made 121 league appearances for Fluminense after managing close to 800 in his 16 years for Cruzeiro, and then he played for multiple other clubs before Cruzeiro. The goal-scoring thing is real. German Cano won them the Copa Lib. He's been a consistent force for them up top. However, he suffered a knee injury in April, and it's unclear if he is playing. Most previews say he is not. However, he is in their squad. I have not seen anything about him continuing to be injured or not playing in this tournament. So he may well be there. If he's not, Everaldo has been his replacement, but this was his first season with the club. 11 games, 6 starts, 1 goal. That said, his XG was 1.0. So, Joe, does that mean he's good?
He's right on his XG. Which
There we go.
is pretty little in that sample size, but
There you
good
go.
for him. You know? That's nice.
They signed Jefferson Soteldo on June 10th. He's coming off an injury-plagued season with Santos. He hasn't played since March. Keno has been important to their attack, but he only played 4 games last season. He's still returning from injury. He's also 35. So John Arias, he's been a consistent starter. He scored a few goals for them, as did Colombian Kevin Serna last year. But Serna only started 4, so it just feels like it's a lot of people. They don't quite know who their goal scorer is going to be and who is going to get the most minutes. So I think they're probably going to be trying out some different combinations, probably why they've been playing some friendlies to get prepared for this one. I'm hoping German Cano is able to play because he is such a force for them, conducts the attack so well, is good in the hold-up, and is just fun to watch. Any other things on Fluminense? All right, I'll go to Dortmund then. Borussia Dortmund. You all are familiar, I take it, maybe?
I've dabbled.
Remind me.
They got here by being the 3rd best ranked team in UEFA over a 4-year period.
Lie.
You don't know. Niko Kovac has had a sizable impact after taking over last season.
Hi.
And over the last 4 seasons, Manchester City has paid Dortmund the highest total amount of transfer fees of any Premier League club. There you go.
Just to
There are your
Dortmund,
3.
or they've spent more money at one club than any other Premier League club, if that makes sense.
They have paid Dortmund of any Premier League club. Man City have given Dortmund the most money for players.
Right. So, like, more than Arsenal have given money to Dortmund, or more
Yeah,
than Arsenal have
among
given
Premier
money
League.
to anybody. Does that make sense? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm expressing this well. Like, have
Of the
Arsenal
Premier League
paid
clubs
Dortmund
to-
more
of
money
the-
than Man City? Is that what you're saying?
Of
I think
of
Graham's
the-
trying to answer.
Of the Premier League clubs to have given Dortmund money, Man City have given them the most.
Yes.
Correct?
Great.
Over the
What's
last
the
4
time frame,
seasons.
sorry? What was the
Last
time period?
4 seasons.
4 years.
The
How
Kovac
much was
one's true.
Haaland?
Bajillion.
Are they
Haaland was relatively cheap, actually, considering like who he is.
It's got to have been 60 or 70, right?
It was like 60,
Nah, surely it
like
was
60
more.
million.
Wasn't it?
But it was because he had a release clause, remember?
Oh. No, I did not.
He had a release clause.
Who else did they buy
I think
from Dortmund?
I still think
is
it
the
could.
question.
I still think it could be City though.
What was the Kovac one, Taylor?
Just that he's had a sizable impact. On
Yeah,
the
that's
club.
true.
For sure.
They went on a winning run to end the season and finish in the top 4 when
I
it
mean,
looked
that's-
unlikely.
that's-
So that's true.
That's woolly. That's a woolly question.
How would Dortmund be the 3rd best team in UEFA? Isn't that what Taylor said?
They made a final, and they do tend to make the latter round. So I think that's true. The Kovac one is true. Process of elimination. It must there must be another team that's given. It must be Manchester United.
It's a self-burn. It's Manchester United.
Yeah,
it's
nice
Jadon
job,
Sancho.
Graham.
They've signed one player. City paid $80 million for Akanji and Haaland. Sancho is 85.
Wow.
This window, they've signed Joe Bellingham from Birmingham, Daniel Svensson from Nordsjælland, and they made Jan Kotu's loan permanent. So they've done some business. They've brought in a midfielder that felt like where they needed to strengthen, and bringing in another Bellingham will maybe do that. But yes, Manchester United have still given them more money than Manchester City. Well done, Manchester United. And Niko Kovac, basically in 4 fewer games in the league, got them 3 more points. And then the Champions League was much more consistent and much more successful. And it was the Champions League final run that I think pushed up their coefficient ranking quite a bit.
Okay.
Man, shout out to Dortmund, making moves in the rankings.
I know, right? Always very fun. I was wondering if y'all would be like, no, they're the 4th best team. Okay. We'll move to Ulsan HD of the Korea Republic. This is not one of your clues. They qualified as the best-ranked team in AFC over a 4-year period, which is only 3 campaigns because they blended one together. But they made the semifinals once, the group stage once, and the semifinals again. Here are your 3 truths, or are they truth? Manager Kim Pan-gon took over in July of 2024, which was the middle of the 2024 season, after previously managing South China, Hong Kong again, and Malaysia. They've won the K-League 5 times and have currently won 3 straight league titles, 2022, 2023, 2024, but they've never won the AFC Champions League, though they've been runners-up twice. They are a very experienced team with 12 players over the age of 30, which somehow is only good for 3rd oldest team in the K-League. So, Kim Pan-gon took over in July 2024. They went on to win the title with him.
This is a dart at a wall.
This is impossible.
I am now
This is
realizing that
completely impossible.
this is definitely the team I know the least about in
Correct.
this competition.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing
Me
number
too.
2 because I'm just going to guess number 2.
So yeah, just guess a number.
Joe's
2.
correct.
It's definitely 2.
Joe got it
Yes.
Yes, Joe.
right. They won it twice. They won it in 2012. They won it in 2020. Kim Pan-gon, it's an interesting one because he basically takes over in the middle of the season, but they were near the top of the table. They were like consistently 3rd, thereabouts. He takes over, and then they go on a strong run. They cruise to, I think, 8-point clear at the end after taking over, and they were 3rd. So they were doing fine, but I think he pushed them to another level. They are at a very interesting point in their history, in their timeline, basically, because as I said, they have 12 players over the age of 30. Many of them are like 35, 36, including defender Kim Yong-gwon, who made 112 appearances for the national team. Midfielder Jong Woo-young has made 76. They're both 35 years old and haven't been called up since September of 2024. Their goalkeeper is a regular starter. He's the only regular starter for the national team from this team. He is 33 years old. 4 of their top 5 minute getters last season were over the age of 31. And so they have a ton of experience, but then they also have multiple 20, 21, 22-year-old players coming through, breaking through, getting minutes, scoring goals, doing interesting things. And so that is kind of my narrative for this team in this tournament is this a one last hurrah? Is this a sign that things need to change? Or is it a sign that they are moving in the right direction and they are already changing things? So it's basically, do they play a bunch of older players and they make a surprise run or spring a surprise? Do they play a bunch of older players, veteran players, and maybe get wiped and then they maybe have to change some things? Or maybe they blend it up as the tournament goes on. So I think that will be an interesting one to see kind of the age and experience of the team throughout the group stage. I don't know if they're going to make it out of the group stage, given that we've got
They will
Dortmund
not.
and we've got Fluminense in there.
Seems unlikely.
And your final team, good guessing, you all. This one maybe as murky, but maybe not as murky. We'll see. Mamelodi Sundowns, here we go. Qualified as the 2nd best ranked team in CAF over a 4-year period. In the CAF Champions League, they made the quarters in the quarters, then the semis in the semis. They were 35 points ahead of the next best club, CR Belouizdad of Algeria, and they did win the Champions League in 2016. That doesn't count for these coefficient rankings. Here are your 3 bits of trivia. The club takes pride in its unique style of attacking play, locally dubbed shoeshine and piano, which includes combinations of quick, short passes on the ground and is likened to Spanish tiki-taka and total football. So they've got a unique playing style that they pride themselves on. They've won the South African top flight 18 times, with their first title in 1988. However, they have not had as much success recently, only topping the league twice in the last 8 seasons. And finally, they don't have a ton of known names in their team, at least to my knowledge. The one my co-hosts might be most familiar with is Ronwen Williams, who notably saved 4 penalties in South Africa's shootout win over Cabo Verde in the quarterfinals of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations. He went on to win the tournament's goalkeeper of the tournament. So they have Ronwen Williams, who is good in goal. They've won the top flight 18 times, but only twice in the last 8 seasons. Or they have a unique style of play dubbed shoe shine and piano.
It's surely number 2, right? Because number 1 is correct. I read that name. What is it? Shoe Shine and Piano. They're also nicknamed the Brazilians because of their shirts.
Did you read that in your own newsletter, Graham?
I read it after I wrote it, mostly. Yeah.
Yeah, but to be in my newsletter, I then need to have. Never mind. So it's number 2 because I think they're like a dominant force in South African football at the moment. So I think they probably have won it 18 times, but they've been more successful recently. That's what I'm thinking.
They've won it 8 straight seasons. Yep. That is correct. They were 12 points better than Orlando Pirates this season, 23 points better than them the season before. They are consistently one of the best, if not the best teams in South Africa. They have an owner who has invested a good amount of money into both sides of the program. I think they are the first team in Africa to have both their men's and women's teams win the Champions League. And I think both teams and their academy teams all try to play that shoe shine and piano, more aesthetically pleasing style of soccer. I was really confused in my research why they are not at all involved in the national team of late. Can anyone guess why they're not involved in the national team of late? Because they're playing at the Club World Cup. That's why. I was like, what is going on? Why aren't they in the most recent squad? Oh, right, because they're excused. But they do have somewhat of a sizable impact on the national team. 10 of their players were on the most recent World Cup qualifying roster in March. Many of them are starters for Bafana Bafana. And then the other players that you might want to keep an eye on from this team, Lucas Ribeiro Costa is a right winger for them, 17 goals, 9 assists in 27 league games, very attacking, very speedy. And Ikram Reiners, who's a striker, 14 goals and 9 assists last year. Joe, he took 41 shots to score those 14 goals. 56% of them were on target, so he's averaging almost exactly 1 goal every 3 shots. It's like basically 0.34, I think, shots per goal or something like that. So that kind of goes to the old one that I remember growing up with, which is like teams score every 3 shots, so take at least 3 shots a game and you'll score. He seems to be living that truth. And this was his first season with the club. He joined from Stellenbosch for a €750,000 transfer fee, which is somewhat sizable for the South African Premier League. So Ikram Reiners, very exciting. Lucas Ribeiro Costa, also very exciting. Mamelodi Sundowns, generally speaking, very exciting in a group that could be more open, because I do not know how strong Fluminense will be in their attack. Dortmund, but they seem like they would be the strongest team out of this group, and it leaves it kind of open, I think, between Mamelodi Sundowns, Ulsan, and maybe Fluminense. You would assume it would be Fluminense and Dortmund, but I think this group could be very interesting and very fun no matter what.
Yeah, Mamelodi Sundowns are one of the most dominant teams in African football, to such an extent that their owner is the CAF president, and he is running to become this president, like the actual president of South Africa, which would surely make the Sundowns the most like establishment club there has ever been if their owner is the Confederation president and also the president of the country. So
wow. I think he's also one of he's fairly rich as well, I do believe. So they're doing all right. He owns
the oh my goodness. He owns the world's 5th largest gold mining company. So yeah. There you go.
All right.
5th largest gold mining doesn't even get you into the top 4, though. No champions.
Right, you don't qualify that way.
No.
Yeah.
Thursday nights, Channel 5.
Yeah, right.
All right, we're going to take one more quick break. When we come back, we're going to go 2 truths and a lie all the way through Group G and Group H. Join us then. Total Soccer Show, welcome back to our Club World Cup previews. We're doing Two Truths and a Lie. And up next, Graham Ruthven. You might know him from this podcast. He's going to talk about Group G. G, tell us about G.
I will. So, as with every other group, 4 teams. Manchester City, Wydad. Wydad, is that how you pronounce that? That kind of sounds like me complaining about my, genetically bad back. Wydad. Al Ain is another team from the UAE. And then Juventus. You might have heard of them from Italy. So I'm going to start off with a little team that you might have heard of before called Manchester City. Apparently they won some stuff and had some decent players. They will be favourites to top Group G. And they actually enter this tournament as the defending champions, even though this feels like an entirely different competition. They, this is my first thing, by the way. City won the last Club World Cup final back in 2023. They beat Fluminense 4-0 in that final. Julian Alvarez scored twice in that game. Phil Foden scored another, and City's front line was Julian Alvarez, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish and Bernardo Silva, which I think sort of underlines how much has changed at City since then. Alvarez is gone, Grealish is on his way out, Bernardo could also be leaving, and Foden is a shadow of the player that he was in 2025. So this City team are in the midst of a rebuild, and we will get another sign of that next evolution at this tournament, because City have been busy since the end of the domestic season. They have signed Tiani Reinders from AC Milan and Ryan Aït-Nouri from Wolves as well, so I think we'll see both of those players at the Club World Cup. So my first fact, as I say, they beat Fluminense 4-0 in the last Club World Cup final. And we're going to see Haaland. I mentioned Reinders and Aït-Nouri. Haaland is back from missing a period of the season through injury. And so my second thing is that the difference in win percentage, I'm going to try and get this right, the difference in win percentage from when he is on the team to when he is not is the largest of any City player, which maybe isn't surprising considering he is a robot built purely to score goals. But obviously the question with Erling Haaland is how do you integrate him into a Pep team? They've got Marmoush, they've got Gonzalez from January, they've got all these new players. So I think with Haaland missing a period of the season, that's actually going to be quite interesting at this Club World Cup, is how he fits back into this team. And my final thing relates to the signing that I just mentioned there of Omar Marmoush. The third fact that I've got is that only 7 players in all of European football scored more goals than him last season. Wow. And Erling Haaland wasn't one of them. He scored 28 goals in all competitions for Manchester City and Eintracht Frankfurt. He was ranked 8th in the Golden Boot standings behind Mbappe, Gyökeres, Salah, Lewandowski, Kane, Marco Retegui and Alexander Isak. So that is pretty impressive company to keep, and he has been brilliant for City. He's versatile, can play a number of positions. He's given City some legs and dynamism, which they were desperately lacking in the attack. So I think he will be a key player in the Club World Cup. I'm looking forward to watching him. So which of those 3 things is the lie? That City beat Fluminense in the last final, that Haaland's wins percentage is the biggest golf of any City player, or that Marmoush was 8th in the Golden Boot standings?
Question for number 2 and the Haaland stat.
Yep.
Over what time period?
Last season. It must be last season. You're asking me a question I'm not entirely sure I know the answer to. It must be last season, I'm sure.
I think I'm on the same train as Ryan, because I'm assuming that player would be Rodri.
Rodri was the one I was thinking it would be.
Yeah. And I feel like they were winning when he was there, and then he left, and then things were bad, and then Haaland left, and they were still kind of bad, and then Haaland came back, and they were mostly okay. But I think Rodri is going to be my answer.
I think that's my choice.
Well, hold on. That I've 2 things that sort of speak against that, although I'm happy to go with option 2. The first is that if Graham had made that up, I feel like he would have had a more specific knowledge of the time period than he just did, unless he's a better actor than I should be giving him more credit for that. And also, didn't we just talk about how Fluminense won Copa Lib in 2023? And that was the first time they'd ever won it? And the Club World Cup was in 2021? Am I missing something? I probably am, but that seems suspicious.
They did beat Fluminense in that game. I don't know if it's 4-0 that they beat them.
So my fact was that they beat them in 2020, the 2023 Club World Cup.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misheard that. Okay, gotcha. Well, then, let's go with number 2.
Yep, nailed it.
Well done.
Number 2.
Was it Rodri?
It is Rodri. It absolutely is. Mr. Wet Wipe himself. It's 74%. I have to admit, I am not totally sure what the time. It was a list of win percentage for Man City players. So I presume it's a season, but I don't fully know. It might be over the course of their whole career. But with Rodri, Man City wins 74% of the time when he plays, and it's 55% when he doesn't, which is pretty remarkable. That's a huge drop off, and speaks to how important he is to the City team. And the reason that I've done a Rodri fact there is he is finally back from injury, right? He came off the bench against Bournemouth in the final home game of the season for Man City. He will feature at this tournament, but it also wouldn't surprise me if Guardiola eases him back in because of how important he is to this Man City team. You could argue that he is like the single most important individual player to an elite level team at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I know we're going long in this episode, but like I kind of have a feeling that Pep wants to win the Club World Cup because the season they had, how bad it was, especially by their standards and his standards in particular. It would be easy to look at the other kind of like big clubs in Europe and see them as the favorites and see PSG as the one that's most likely, and with good reason. I do wonder if Pep has a kind of a point to prove of like, nope, we're gonna come right back. We're gonna sign players. We're gonna be just as good as we were. We're gonna blow everybody out of the water, and we're gonna set the stage for the coming season. They're one of the few clubs that I feel like is going to be fully up for this tournament. So I'm excited to watch them and their new players, much as it will pay me.
Counterpoint, is there a competition that Pep has entered that he doesn't really want to win?
The race to decide the 115 charges. He's not so keen to win that one.
I don't know. They seem to be putting a lot of investment behind that one.
Thickest hairline.
Oh, man.
Got him.
That feels like a low blow.
Next club, Graham.
Coming from me. I'm not really throwing
I'm saying nothing. Next up, we have Wydad's, if that's how you pronounce them. Taylor, did you say on the last show, Back Pain FC?
I think I said like
Vidad?
Yeah. Vidad.
Yeah. So they are one of 4 African teams in this competition. They are from Morocco, where they've won the league a record 22 times, qualified for this tournament by winning the CAF Champions League in 2022. That brings me to my first thing, which is that Wydad are having a bit of an identity crisis right now. They won that CAF Champions League title under Walid Regragui, whose name you might recognise because he was the manager of Morocco when they made the semi-finals of the World Cup, the last World Cup. You might remember how Morocco played at that World Cup. They were compact, direct. Well, that was Wydad's identity as a team for decades, but they tried to move away from that by hiring Rulani Mokwena from Mamelodi Sundowns last summer, who wanted a more possession-based approach. They ditched that. They lost patience, changed managers in April. A lot of the teams that I previewed seem to have recently changed managers. I think it was 4 out of 50% of the teams that I previewed have changed managers in the last 3 months or something. So they changed managers in April, and the manager leading them into the Club World Cup is actually an interim manager who's tried to take them back to the old style of play. So we'll see how that works at the tournament. My second thing is that Wydad translates as love in English. As far as I can tell, they are seen as a club that has a lot of support across Morocco. They are based in Casablanca, but they are similar to Juventus in Italy or Manchester United in England as having a support base that's spread across the country. So when it came to picking a name, they didn't really want a name that was rooted in a specific location. They wanted something that would appeal to people around the country. And it's actually estimated that Wydad will have one of the biggest travelling supports at the Club World Cup. I read one article that says as many as 15,000 Wydad fans could be travelling to the tournament over the course of their 3 games, which apparently will only be bettered by the Argentinian clubs in terms of a travelling support. So that's my second thing. My final thing is that Wydad, along with the other 3 CAF teams, Al Ahly, Mamelodi Sundowns and Esperance, will be taking home a guaranteed $15.2 million from playing in the Club World Cup, which is the same as the South American teams, but more than the MLS teams. There's also £250 million in solidarity money, which has been distributed out. Moroccan football has really developed a lot in the last few years. They're building like a huge training centre. They're building a new stadium that they hope is going to host the 2030 final. So that Club World Cup money will be gratefully received. So which of those 3 things is the lie? To just recap them. First thing is a bit of an identity crisis right now in terms of how they're playing. Second thing is the translation to love in English. And the third thing is the £50 million that they are taking home in prize money from this competition.
Feels like a lot of money, doesn't it? The fact that FIFA would give the CAF teams more than the CONCACAF teams, maybe that is true. I think it's got to be one of the last 2. That's my sense. It's one of the last 2. I don't know if it's number 2 or number 3. 3 feels fishy, but 2 also feels fishy.
Does it translate to something else is what I'm thinking. Not love. Bookshelf. Something else.
Back Pain FC.
I mean,
Taylor?
Why, Dad, don't you love me? It feels like it goes together really well there. So I'm going to say number 3. I don't know why, but that's my guess.
I'm fine with
Is that
that.
the consensus?
I'm good with that.
Yes, nailed it. Nice. That's the lie. Number 3, Wydad will actually take home 9.5 million, which is the same as the MLS teams, and CAF is arguing that they should be on the same rung as the CONMEBOL teams. This has been a whole dispute. Their reasoning being that they're hosting the 2030 World Cup along with CONMEBOL, and so they're at a disadvantage. So that's been a whole storyline.
The work they've done, though, is really fascinating, and the amount of money put into developing the domestic game is pretty impressive. So I'm glad that we get Wydad involved. Love involved. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. I will bring up my next team here. Definitely had them lined up in my notes while you were talking there, Taylor. Here we go. Next up, Al Ain of the UAE. They qualified for the Club World Cup by winning the 2024 Asian Champions League, and they won that under Hernan Crespo, who was their manager. And this is my first thing for Al Ain. They sacked Crespo less than 6 months after that. That's my first thing. Now Vladimir Ivic is their manager. He was Watford manager for a minute, along with everyone else in the world, and has done an okay job of steadying the ship, although Al Ain are currently 5th in the UAE Pro League when they are a club that wants to win the title every single season. So, they're not quite where they want to be at the moment. In terms of their squad, it is a mishmash of homegrown players, but also a lot of South Americans, a lot of African players. I must say, not a huge number of recognisable names, but Al Ain, they're a team that likes to play in the front foot. Eric, their Brazilian left-back, likes to get forward. He's a bit of an assist machine. Alejandro Romero is a bit of a creative hub in central midfield. Sofiane Rahimi was the top scorer when Al Ain won the Asian Champions League. He plays as part of a front two. This is not my fact, right? But they have a winger called Gino Infantino. So nice. Gianni could have put a bit more effort into his disguise, I think. But my second thing is that Al Ain's, obviously a lot of clubs are making kind of big pre-tournament signings for this competition. Al Ain's big pre-Club World Cup signing is Rui Patricio, the 37-year-old Portugal goalkeeper who was obviously at Wolves not so long ago. And my third thing is that there is a family link between two of these three teams of these 4 teams, in this group. The president of Al Ain is the cousin of Sheikh Mansour, the owner of Man City, of course. So the match between Man City and Al Ain in Atlanta, I think that game's being played in, is going to be a huge deal in Abu Dhabi. I was reading there's going to be a fan zone in Abu Dhabi for that game, and City legends are going over there. So a penny for Club Leon's thoughts, considering they were chucked out of the tournament for multi-club ownership concerns. So which of those 3 things is the lie? The first thing was Crespo sacked 6 months after winning the Asian Champions League. Second thing, Rui Patricio, their big pre-tournament signing. And the third thing is the cousin of Sheikh Mansour being the president of the club.
Third feels true because it had so much exposition around it.
Yeah, thought the same thing.
Yeah, but like Rui Patricio, that feels like it would be the lie, but also I don't know what else could be the lie. Because I think the third one is true.
1 or 2.
I think Graham duped us.
Yeah, let's say 2.
2 is the lie?
Yeah.
Not 2. It's the last one. It's not the cousin who is the president of Al Ain. It's actually the brother, which makes it even more unbelievable that not only are these 2 teams in the same competition, they are in the same group and they will play each other. So, yay, FIFA and their rules, which apparently apply to Club Leon and no one else. That brings me to my fourth team, Juventus. Another club, obviously, like City, that listeners will be very familiar with. Obviously a superpower in Italian soccer. They've won the most Serie A titles, 36. Going through a bit of a lull as a team right now. Haven't won the Scudetto since 2020. Haven't done much in the Champions League either recently, which brings me to my first fact, which is that Juve have lost more European finals than any other club. They've lost 5 European finals to Ajax, Hamburg, Borussia Dortmund, Real Madrid and AC Milan. You don't need to worry about the teams. The fact is the most European finals lost thing. They are the nearly men of winning big international titles, so maybe that's an omen for them to lose the final in the Club World Cup as well. The second thing is that this season that just finished, Juve had just 2 players reach double figures for goals. They brought in Thiago Motta to change the style of their play after years of Allegri ball. And Motta did, I was always a bit of an apologist for Thiago Motta, but he did give them more security in possession. There were times where you could see the building blocks. They just could not get anything going in the attack. They drew 16 out of 38 league games last season, which is remarkable. Motta was eventually sacked. He's replaced by Igor Tudor, who had been Lazio manager earlier in the season. Serie A musical chairs in action again there. And Tudor has made Juve a bit more direct. But honestly, having watched them towards the end of the season, it kind of seems like more of the same. And this tournament is getting in the way of Juve kind of retooling their attack this summer. My final thing is that Juve's new kit for the Club World Cup pays tribute to their original colour scheme. There is a splash of pink, in there, and that's because Juve originally wore pink kits before a British guy called Gordon Thomas Savage took some Notts County shirts back to Italy with him, and Juve have worn black and white stripes ever since then. The term bianconeri means black and white. So which of those three things is the lie? That Juve have lost the most European finals, that only 2 players reached double figures for goals for them last season, and the thing about the kits, that this season's kit being a throwback to the original pink kits.
Can you say the second one more time, Graham? Sorry.
Yes, Juve had just 2 players reach double figures for goals last season.
So Lautaro and Thuram?
That would be...
No, hang on. I'm thinking of the wrong team. Yeah. So there's no... Who would
Seems believable.
The second player.
I think what I'm tripped up by is that Benfica have lost a lot of finals as well, but I think some of those are like Europa League and stuff, and I feel like Juve I think have lost the most like European Cup, Champions League finals. So that one could be it. But
what was the phrasing of that one, Graham? Because I was thinking the same thing we previously established. Was it 8 finals that Benfica have lost?
Yeah.
Yes.
It must be European Cup finals, yeah.
Okay. So that one's true then.
Yeah, I kind of gave that one away there. I don't know about my response to that. I got trapped there.
So I'm going to say it's the second one because I have a feeling it's like they had 1 player score.
Yep, I agree with Taylor.
Oh, absolutely nailed it. Yep, they didn't have 2. They had 1, Dusan Vlahovic, who was only just in double figures. He scored 10.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, this is a team that is light on the attacking stuff at the moment.
And, most importantly, I hate that new kit. Like, I really do not like it at all.
I kind of want it because it's so bad.
That's Graham. Graham and I talked about this, I think, on before recording 101 yesterday. Graham is that level of sicko of like, Graham, if like something smells bad enough, are you like, I need to smell it again to see just how bad it smells? That's how you are with your kits too?
Totally. Oh. Yeah. Smell test.
Yeah.
The worse smell, the better.
Graham wants to go to the worst restaurant in the city he's visiting just because of its legend.
Yeah, the novelty of it. Yeah.
Aren't most of the restaurants in Glasgow tied for last?
Oh, come on, that's not fair.
It's no Edinburgh, Taylor.
I think we were ahead of Edinburgh in timeouts, food cities ranked last year. I think.
All right, we're talking like we don't have one more group to talk about here, which we do. Group H, which I'll run through. It contains Real Madrid, Al Hilal, Pachuca, and Red Bull Salzburg. The games are being played in Miami, Cincinnati, Charlotte, DC, Nashville, and Philly. Every game somewhere different. Makes perfect sense for planning purposes, I'm sure. We're going to start off with Real Madrid. Heard of them? Qualified as winners of the 22 Champions League. They got a new coach, don't you know? Xavi Alonso's his name. Used to play for them. Fun fact for you there. Got a new player in Trent. Fully fluent in Spanish, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who they paid 10 million euros for to play in this tournament. They are the favourites with the bookmakers because you don't bet against Real Madrid winning a tournament on a non-domestic stage in which they are entered. So, your Real Madrid truths and lie. Real Madrid is the most successful club in Club World Cup history. Real Madrid's kit was inspired by an English team that also played in all white. And Real Madrid once played the US men's national team and lost.
Ooh.
Whoa.
How you like that?
Yeah, given it was Real Madrid, I thought this would be a little bit.
Taylor, do you know about
easier.
that? US-17 playing Real Madrid?
I've
never heard of
the
that
only
before.
club I ever remember the U.S. playing was Derby County. And that might be a thing that they did. Like the U.S. did play those like 150 friendlies in the mid '90s, which is maybe when they could have done that. But I also don't know. I'm assuming the English team would be Leeds wearing all white, but I don't know that history either.
No, I don't know that either.
So I'm inclined to say it's either 2 or 3.
Agreed.
And 3 feels like Ryan being cruel.
I do this every time. Ryan, remind me what one is. Sorry.
One is that Real Madrid are the most successful club in Club World Cup history.
So that's got to be true, just given the fact that they're in it all the time, having won more European Cups than anyone else. So that one's got to be true. I think number 3 might be they played the MLS All-Stars and lost, and so that might be the trick. I don't remember that, but I'm just trying to think what this guy is like.
I think we should go number 3, even though I'm prepared to be wrong.
Hold on. I think
Go on.
It's 3. 3 is the lie. I think I know what Ryan did.
Because.
What's your logic?
Did the U.S. women play Real Madrid?
Real Madrid men? No.
Okay. I think did the U.S. women play Real Madrid's women's team?
Is 3 your final answer?
Yes.
Yes.
You're all correct. Congratulations. That is the lie.
Okay.
Made it up. They never
logic?
played the US
Okay.
men's national team,
Okay.
but they are expected to play the Brazil men's national team later this summer because of the Ancelotti agreement. So they are going to play a national team. They've never played the US, though. Fun fact for you there.
Nice.
I
Real
didn't know
Madrid-
that Brazil thing.
Yeah. They're the most successful club in the tournament. They've won it 5 times. Cristiano is the all-time top scorer in the tournament. FIFA has repeatedly used Madrid's presence to push for a larger format, including this new format, based on their ability to bring credibility and ratings, etc., to the competition. So they are very much a cornerstone of it. Real Madrid's kit was inspired by an English team that plays in all white. One from London, Graham. Corinthians. Back in the day.
I would never have got that.
So yeah, sort of semi-defunct Corinthians who have been Corinthians casuals as well. Real Madrid almost, in their infancy, wore blue and red, just like Barcelona back in the early 1900s. They nearly had blue and red, but they eventually settled on all white because of their love of Corinthian FC in England. Wonderful stuff for you there. By the way, Real Madrid, as I mentioned, never played the US men's national team. They have played in the US over 50 times. The first time was in 1927. There you go.
Wow.
Wonderful stuff.
Nice.
Every day's a school day.
That's a
Al
steamer
Hilal.
ship, baby.
Yeah, most likely. Saudi Arabia's Al Hilal are next. They are the winners of the 2021 AFC Champions League. That is how they have qualified. They've got a couple of Serbians you've probably heard of, Sergej Milinkovic-Savic and Aleksandar Mitrovic. They've got a couple of Portuguese, Ruben Neves and João Cancelo. They've got Kalidou Koulibaly as well among their ranks. Their coach, Simone Inzaghi, who could meet Inter. They could meet Inter at the quarterfinal stage. They are owned by the PIF, the sovereign fund. They have been a thing since 1957, have Al Hilal. They are credited with being the first team to sort of get the train moving on the Europe to Saudi star move in this era when they brought in Sebastian Giovinco from Toronto in 2019. There you go. They also tried to get Kylian Mbappe.
That is not the name I thought was going to be said.
Also, Toronto not in Europe, the last I checked.
I mean, he is a European.
train.
Is he not a European going to Saudi? Did I not say that?
I knew what you meant.
Okay. He did try to get. They did try to get Kylian Mbappe. Remember, in the summer of 23, they tried to get Messi and Mbappe for silly money as well. Your facts about Al Hilal: they are Asia's most successful club by trophy wins. Al Hilal fans once brought a goat into their stadium. Al Hilal once fielded a team of players entirely over 33 years old in an AFC Champions League game. Them's your facts.
Wow. The GOAT one feels true.
The GOAT one, but is that some... Nah, I'm thinking too much about this. Is that like no, that was Al Nassr who signed Ronaldo and brought him into this. Is that a GOAT? Why would you pick a GOAT?
Well, if you think Mitrovic is your GOAT, then you bring the GOAT.
In some people's eyes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
I
I feel good about the GOAT one.
I promise I'm not trying to play into stereotypes. Did the goat make it out of the stadium?
Who says it was a goat? I don't know.
Because like teams will sacrifice goats at Ramadan, but that will be more so to then like cook it and serve it as a like sign of like humility and such. But I don't know if that's what it would have been. Goat pies.
I need
exactly.
the GOAT one to be true, so I'm going to advocate that it is, and it's one of the other.
Yeah,
two.
let's say the GOAT one's
33 years
true.
old thing, or the other one that I forgot.
Do we
Most
think they're the most
successful
successful
club
club in
in
Asia?
That's right.
That fit, like they're so you said 57 they've been around.
And Ryan said they were the first to hop on the let's go splash some cash.
They
thing,
are.
which probably
They
means
are
were already
like
doing stuff. You know.
Yeah, they are like a superpower. They're not like I don't think Al Nassr are at that level or like Al Ittihad.
I think it's the 33 years old thing, and Ryan just made it up. That's what I think.
Let's go with that.
Taylor, happy with that?
Sure.
You guys nailed it once again. Congratulations. Al Hilal did not field a team entirely of players over 33 years old in the AFC Champions League, but they did field a team entirely of teenagers in that competition. In 2020, due to COVID, they were short-staffed. They had a crucial match in which they could only field 11 players, including some youth team players. They were eventually disqualified for not meeting the minimum squad requirement, despite leading their group. Al Hilal is Asia's most successful club by trophy wins. They've won the Pro League 19 times. And here we go. The King Cup, the Crown Prince Cup, the Super Cup, the Federation Cup, the Founders Cup, 4 AFC Champions Leagues, the Asian Cup Winners' Cup, the Asian Super Cup, a few regional ones. I could go on. They've won more AFC Champions League titles than any other club in history. They've won 4, as I noted there, and they've appeared in more finals than any other team on the continent. They also have made the Club World Cup final. They lost to Real Madrid in 2022. They've made the final 3 times of the contest. Taylor.
That is great. Don't care about any of it because we still have to figure out the GOAT situation. Was it a shot at Ronaldo? Was it making fun of Ronaldo as not being the GOAT?
So, in a derby match with Al Nassr, some Al Hilal fans brought a goat into the stadium as part of a bad luck stunt aimed at their rivals. They had the goat, they dressed it up, went viral, etc.
So I was kind of right. I was on the not really, but I was on the right lines with that.
Don't know if it made it out. Couldn't say. There we go.
All right. There we go.
All right. There we go. Well done, guys. 2 more teams to go through. Pachuca of Mexico. They are the club that's owned by the same group as Club Leon, which caused the playoff between LFC and Club America. They qualified because they are winners of the 2024 CONCACAF Champions Cup. Pachuca are 7 times Liga MX champions, most recently winning the 2022 Apertura. Who've they got? Salomon Rondon, who's still going. Former Everton, Newcastle, and West Brom forward. He's in their ranks. And, as mentioned previously on this preview, they've got John Kennedy, on loan from Fluminense, and Kennedy. They've got 2 Kennedys. Ask not what you can do for your Pachuca. John Kennedy scored the winner for Fluminense in that 23 Libertadores final when he had quite a time.
Excellent.
Do they have the MTV VJ Kennedy? That's one for me and Ryan and nobody else. Maybe not even Ryan? I don't know.
Not even Ryan. No.
All right.
Just no dead Kennedys. That's the only musical reference I could make on that one. There we go. This is their 5th time at the Club World Cup. Here are your 3 pieces of information. Pachuca were founded by British coal miners. Pachuca fans bring sugar to matches for good luck. Pachuca have retired their number 1 jersey.
Oh my.
Have at it, bros.
This is a dartboard one for me, chaps.
This is up there with Ulsan 4K.
Which we nailed, by the way. Let's check another dart, Graham. Taylor, what do you guys want to throw?
Oh man.
Sugar? Should we throw it at sugar? Maybe they bring salt.
I feel like
bring-
sugar. Yeah.
It feels like they bring something else.
Yeah, this
bring-
is what we thought the goat one was, but we're actually right about it this time. Sugar. Final answer for me.
They bring salt and it's seasoning for the goat.
That's right. And then they fly
Well,
across the world
amazingly-
to Saudi Arabia.
You've nailed it once again, and they do bring salt. They have a salt ritual.
What?
There it is.
They bring salt to matches. They throw it over their shoulders. As I think that's a British thing as well. I don't know if it's an American thing too, but it's to
It
ward
is.
off bad luck,
Yeah.
particularly during penalty shootouts. And it is a holdover from local mining rituals, because Pachuca were founded by British coal miners from Cornwall in southwest England, where there is basically no soccer in Cornwall, interestingly.
Yeah, that's confusing.
Yeah, it is a bit confusing. They were founded in 1892. That, I believe, makes them North America's oldest club. They are nicknamed the Tuzos, which means gophers, which references their mining history. Their mascot is a hard hat wearing miner called El Minero. So there you go. Good stuff.
That's awesome.
And they did retire their number 1 jersey. They do not have a number 1 jersey. The Colombian Miguel Calero made 395 appearances for them, all-time appearance leader for the club, who was known for wearing a baseball cap and like long pants sometimes. He retired in October 2011. Tragically, he died a year later after his retirement from a cerebral thrombosis. He controversially, the club reinstated the number 1 shirt for a youth keeper, but they got a lot of backlash who viewed that shirt as sacred due to their love for Calero, and they don't have a number 1 shirt anymore. There you go, Pachuca. Wonderful stuff. One more
Nice.
club. Yeah. RB Salzburg, everybody. The 9th best ranked eligible team in UEFA's 4-year ranking. Easy for me to say. Let's give a round of applause for RB Salzburg for being at the Club World Cup. They finished 3rd in the most recent Austrian Bundesliga. Some of their alumni include Erling Haaland, Sadio Mane, Dominik Szoboszlai, Karim Adeyemi, Dayot Upamecano, etc. and so on. Your facts. They played in purple before they were Red Bull branded. They have changed their club name 8 times.
Oh, wow.
They have had 3 American managers.
3 American managers feels like the thing that's made up to me.
Yeah.
Jesse Marsh is 1. Surely there haven't been 2 more. There's no way. I'm not buying it.
Are you counting assistants too, or like senior managers?
First team managers.
Yeah, there's no way.
There's no way.
They haven't had. I'm just trying to think, like, through. Their current manager's not American, definitely. That's Lech, and then it was Linders, and they had Jassel, and then they had Marsh. No, there's no one recently. It can't be true.
I think the purple one is true because if I'm not mistaken, what is it? FC Liefering? That's their like second team or something like that. There's some sort of affiliation. I'm pretty sure they wear purple. And I don't know how I know that, but I think that's true.
I think that's true. They were Austria Salzburg before they were Red Bull Salzburg.
And there were 7 other name changes before that.
I
think we're locked in.
I actually thought that was
Yeah.
going to be the lie because it was more. But I don't think it's 3 American managers. So Ryan is lying about that one.
Yep, I'm locked
gotta
in
be
on that
lie.
as well.
You know me too well. You're 4 for 4.
Yes.
They, of course, have only had 1 American manager, Mr. Marsh, of course. They did change their name 8 times. They were founded in 1933 as SV Austria Salzburg, as Graham established there. They've had other names, many of them are sponsorship names, actually. So Gierngos A. Salzburg was a department store. Sparkasse Austria Salzburg, another business. A Casino Salzburg. Wüstenrot Salzburg, many others. Basically changed their name 8 times. They've had a lot of changes. And they've also had changes to their kit colours. When they were founded, they played in violet. And when they rebranded as Red Bull in 2005, the team's colours were obviously changed to red and white. They rewrote the official founding year as 2005 instead of 1933. And this infuriated fans, and violet is forbidden by fans at the stadium. So, for security, once security once removed a fan for wearing a violet scarf, basically they don't like them trying to.
So it's not the fans that are forbidding it; it's the club that
forbidden
is,
by the
right.
club. And visiting fans sometimes wear violet on purpose just to protest. I don't know what happens if Fiorentina play there, frankly. But the colour has become basically a symbol of defiance for the old school pre-Red Bull supporters of RB Salzburg. There we go.
That's really interesting because I assume that if you've changed your name that many times, you're less like, no, our history is sacrosanct. How dare you? But
We are the casino ones.
yeah, right.
Can anyone remind me what
We are
this
Milk
season's
Cup
name is?
FC. How dare you?
There we go, guys. You know what we've done over 2 episodes? We've gosh darn previewed the Club World Cup in a fun quiz format. Graham, give yourself a pat on the back. Well done.
Oh, I will. I'll throw salt over my shoulder. I'll
Not sugar.
lead a goat. Whatever else. Thanks.
Yeah. Don't have anything to do with number 92. That's how we roll on this here
Correct.
podcast. There you go.
Well said.
Listener, we'll be checking in, of course, with the Club World Cup throughout its progress and much else throughout this summer. But thank you very much for joining us through this Club World Cup preview. Patreon.com/Total Soccer Show. If you'd like more bonus content, episodes, videos, Discord, we're slinging all of them over there. Patreon.com/Total Soccer Show. The best way to support us. Thank you very much indeed. Taylor Rockwell, a pleasure as always, sir.
Pleasure was mine, my friend.
Thanks, Joe Lowry.
Keep on slanging.
Hey, Graham Ruthven. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, Ryan Bailey.
Listener, thank you the mostest. We appreciate you. We'll be back on the feed very shortly. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. Bye.